ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومطاعنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا وإن الدنيا عرض حاضر يأكل منه البر والفاجر ألا وإن الآخرة أجل صادق يقضي فيها ملك عادل قادر يحق الحق ويبطل الباطل ألا وإن الخير كله بحذافيره في الجنة ألا وإن الشر كله بحذافيره في النار ألا فاعملوا وأنتم من الله على حذر واعلموا أنكم معروضون على أعمالكم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Respected ulama kiram, elders, beloved brothers in Islam, Allah's greatness, Allah's azmat, Allah's kibriyai, Allah's jalal, this is wara'ul wara, beyond human comprehension. Allah's zat, Allah's being, there is no limit. Allah is infinite. Huwa al-awwal, wal-akhir, wal-zahir, wal-batin, وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٍ. This verse, if you translate it, literal translation, He is the first, He is the last, He is apparent, He is concealed, and He has knowledge of everything. This translation doesn't really do justice to describing the majesty, the glory, the greatness, the kibriyai of Allah. Our beloved Master sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the form of a dua, he explained these expressions to us. Allahumma anta al-awwal falaysa qablaka shay wa anta al-akhir falaysa ba'daka shay wa anta al-zahir falaysa fawqaka shay wa anta al-batin falaysa dunaka shay. That, O Allah, you are the first, before you there is nothing. You are the last, after you there is nothing. You are apparent, above you there is nothing. You are concealed from you there is nothing. Awwal bila bidaya, akhir bila nihaya. Allah is the first without a beginning. Allah is the last without an ending. We find these expressions in the books of Aqidah. Qadimun bila ibtida, daimun bila intiha. Allah was forever, Allah will be forever. If you have to analyze these statements in reality, they do not do justice to describing Allah. Why? Because what we have at our disposal, Words. Words are made up of alphabets. Alphabets are makhluk, a creation. Words are a creation. Language are a creation. And that which is makhluk, that which is created, can never ever do justice to describing Khaliq. Allah is the creator. Allah's every sifat, Allah's every quality. This is limitless. The puny human intellect, this brain, in reality is just a piece of flesh. Allah's tajalli was directed towards it. They tell us what this brain is: 100 billion nerve cells interconnected. It is said if the nerve fibers of the brain of one person had to be opened up and a rope had to be formed, it would go from this masjid right up till the moon, around the moon, and come back to this masjid. 580,000 kilometers long is the nerve fibers of the brain of each human being. And each millimeter of those nerve fibers contains the retentive capacity of 18 supercomputers put together. Yet in reality, what was this? If you look at a sheep brain, look at human brain, it's very similar, just a piece of flesh. Allah's tajalli was directed towards it. Where? Fi butuni ummahatikum, in the womb of your mothers. Was the lighting good? Quran tells us, fi dhulumatin thalath, in 3 layers of darkness. Allah's tajalli directed towards a piece of flesh, and what happens? Suddenly, this piece of flesh has the ability for memory, compassion, kindness, ambition, desire, jealousy, hatred, greed, enmity, love, compassion, an ocean of emotions. Allah creates the ability in a piece of flesh. Yet, like we were saying, the human intellect is finite, it is limited. It can never do justice to comprehending the vastness, the greatness, the majesty of Allah. We use these words. For example, we say Allah was forever, Allah will be forever. What is forever? This word forever, if you have to analyze it, it means a very, very, very long period of time. Allah is above time. Allah has created time. Past tense, present tense, future tense, that's for you and I. 100 years ago, now, 100 years from now, that is for you and I. Allah Himself, la yahwihi makan, la yashtamilu alayhi zaman. Allah is above time. Allah created time. In the Quran, in Surah Kahf, Allah mentions those youngsters. They went into a cave. They took refuge in a cave. Allah put them to sleep. When they woke up, وَكَذَلِكَ بَعَثْنَاهُمْ لِيَتَسَاءَلُوا بَيْنَهُمْ قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ. Naturally, a conversation ensues. How long did we sleep? How long is it possible for people to sleep? 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours? Today youngsters, mashallah, they can sleep very long. But even then, you'll need to relieve yourself, back will pain, side will pain. And then there are certain processes in the human body that are directly linked to the passage of time. The nails grow, the hair grows, the athar, the signs of old age come. Today youngsters stand in front of the mirror admiring their physique from this side, from that side. The young girl stands in front of the mirror. She thinks that mashallah, she's the Zulaykha of the time. The bloom of her cheeks were compared to the bloom of roses. Twinkling of the eyes to the twinkling of stars. And that ghaman and that ghurur of physical beauty overtakes them to such an extent that they lose sight of the reality that everything in this world is in decline. That is Allah's system, that Allah who created this dunya before creating it. It is Allah's indelible decision, وَإِنَّا لَجَاعِلُونَ مَا عَلَيْهَا صَعِيدًا جُرُزًا. Allah says we will obliterate, we will destroy everything. With this progression of time, this inexorable movement, incessant movement of time, everything in this world is in decline. Like the poet says, كُلُّ بَيْتٍ وَإِن طَالَتْ سَلَامَتُهَا يَوْمًا سَتُدْرِكُهُنَّ الْبَاعُ وَالْحُرَبُ. Today a palatial home stands erect, stands tall, stands proud. But with the passage of time, no matter how strong, no matter how proud, no matter how tall, it will eventually become a dilapidated ruin. It will become the home of spiders. Ma'mun al-Rashid was the Khalifa of the Banu Umayyad dynasty, ruling 3 continents. Those of us who are familiar with geography, try to understand how vast this kingdom was. One ruler, from Baghdad to Kashmir, Baghdad to Portugal, Baghdad to southern France, Baghdad to Senegal in Africa. 3 continents, one ruler. He decides to build a palatial home. No expense is spared. This palace that he is building is a hallmark, a testimony of what he has achieved. So somebody who is ruling 3 continents, you can imagine the opulence, the glitter, the glamour, the lights. After having erected this huge home, this palace, he invites Abu al-Itahiya, rahimahullah, pious person. And he shows him, takes him room to room, hallmark upon hallmark, displays of stupendous wealth upon display. Instead of heaping praises upon him, Abu al-Itahiya is silent. Ma'mun al-Rashid becomes upset that all this display of my wealth, what I have achieved, why is it not affecting this man? Why is he not reacting? After having completed this tour of this palace, Abu al-Itahiya turns to him and he says, "Ish ma badalaka saliman, ish ma badalaka saliman fi dhilli shahiqati al-qusuri, yus'a alayka bima ishtahayta lada al-rawahi wa fi al-bukuri." He says, enjoy yourself. Ish, make maza, enjoy yourself. Today you are salim, you are protected. It appears you are living in this fallacy. You are living in this lie, in this deception, that these huge portals and pillars that you have erected and this army that is at your disposal is going to protect you, is going to secure what you have in front of you. But we are the ummah of Iman. We are the ummah of the Quran. And the fact of the matter, my respected brothers, is that our thinking cannot be the thinking of the others. Unfortunately, Batil has made such an effort. The glitter and glamour and attraction of this dunya, the blind pursuit of the material things of this world. Such an effort, paisa, that this reality that Quran reminds us of over and over and over again. How many verses of the Quran? اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ وَتَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ كَمَثَلِ غَيْثٍ أَعْجَبَ الْكُفَّارَ نَبَاتُهُ ثُمَّ يَهِيجُ فَتَرَاهُ مُصْفَرًّا ثُمَّ يَكُونُ حُطَامًا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ عَذَابٌ شَدِيدٌ وَمَغْفِرَةٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانٌ وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. This escort of yours and this KwaZulu-Natal and Johannesburg and South Africa and Africa and the big industries and the gold mine and the silver mines. What is Quran telling us? Don't be deceived. Laib, lahu, zina. This is games, amusements, passing phase. This dunya is a guzargar. No one has come to stay. 100 years ago, not one of us were here. 100 years from now, not one of us will be here. 100 years ago, the dunya was running. If Allah wills, 100 years from now, it will still be running. Not one of us is integral to the running of this world. There are 100 people in front of you. Ask them this question: by how long have you been in this world? Someone will tell you 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. You'll get 100 different answers. Then ask that 100 people the next question. What is the next question? By how much time do you have left in this world? How much time do you have left in this world? They all 100 will give you the same answer. That we have absolutely no idea. Allah is Malik. How much longer are we going to be deceived by the glitter and glamour of this dunya? This is Quran. Quran is telling us that these lights and this glitter and glamour and huge industries and this call from every direction that has obliterated the minds of humanity to such an extent that they have lost their ability to think and realize. Such a call is being made, that of permanence. This world is permanent. Success is in this world. Degrees of this world, position of this world, status of this world. This is the panacea, this is the goal, this is the direction. This lie has been spoken so much that we have become obliterate, or we have become oblivious of the way this dunya is declining constantly in front of us. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ الْمُقَنطَرَةِ مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ وَالْخَيْلِ الْمُسَوَّمَةِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ وَالْحَرْثِ. Quran is ajib. In this one verse, Allah, 8 categories of the dunya are enumerated. And what does Allah say? Zuyin, we have beautified it. It appears attractive. Zuyyina linnas. Hubb. So that it has become beloved. Hubbu shahawat. What are the categories? Nisa, wal baneen, wal qanatir al muqantara, min al dhahab, wal fidda, wal khayl al musawwama, wal an'am, wal harth. Agriculture, commerce, women, children, gold, silver, every aspect of this dunya which magnetizes and attaches the heart of people. People are either in farming, or they are in trade, or they are in commerce, or they are chasing behind the women of this world, or the children of this world, or the wealth of this world. All these worldly embellishments are outlined and opened up for us in this verse of the Quran. And in its introduction, Allah says, Zuyin, we have beautified this hubbu shahawat, the love of these things. And then what is its value? How valuable is the dunya? How valuable is the glitter and glamour and the lights of this world? ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Allah says all this is mata'. Mata'ul hayati dunya. What is this mata'? Unfortunately, many of us have belittled the Quran in the sense that we think it's just some book. People pick up a translation or read some commentary. Quran, this is shafi'un mushaffa, mahilun musaddaq, man ja'alahu amamahu saqahu ila al-jannah, wa man ja'alahu khalfahu qadahu ila an-nar, or kama qala an-nabiy sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Quran will intercede on your behalf if you attach yourself to the Quran. And it is such an intercessor whose intercession will be accepted. Mahilun musaddaq. Quran is your representative. Quran will argue on your behalf. Quran will defend you against what? Ahwalul qubur. It will defend you against the terrors of the grave. Usman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, what kind of love he had for the Quran. Yaqub Taymi rahimahullah says, I entered the haram of Makkah. I saw Usman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. The month of Ramadan, Tahajjud Salah, Usman starts Surah Fatiha. He says, I stood behind him. This curiosity was piqued in my heart. How much Quran would Usman read in his Tahajjud Salah? He says, he started Surah Fatiha. Usman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu did not go into ruku until he reached Surah Nas. The entire Quran in one rakat of Tahajjud Salah. And what would Usman radiyallahu ta'ala anhu say? لَوْ طَهُرَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ مَا شَبِعْتُم مِّن كَلَامِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. If your hearts were pure, if your hearts were pure, you would never get tired of listening to Quran. My Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the one who wants to know whether he loves Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in kana yuhibbu Allah wa rasula, do you love Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Are you the beloved of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? One measuring tape, one yardstick my Nabi gave us. He said, check your heart whether you have the love for the Quran. He said, this heart rusts. هذه القلوب هذه تصدع القلوب. This heart rusts. This heart becomes hard. This heart loses its nur, its illumination, its light. Sahaba asked, ma jilauha, what is the light of the heart? What is the protection from the rust of the heart? What is the softening of the heart? What is the illumination of the heart? My Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, tilawatul Quran. Such a Quran this ummah has been given. Ali radiyallahu ta'ala used to say, whenever I desired to talk to Allah, I would read 2 rakat salah. Whenever I desired that my Allah should talk to me, I would read Quran. This is the lament and cry of our elders. They say, Aaj Quran ek na ashna pegham ban chuki. Quran today has become an irrelevant message. Quran is bahrun la sahila lahu. It's a limitless ocean. My Nabi, coming back to that hadith sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, interceder whose intercession will be accepted. Arguer in your favor who will never abandon you. Mahilun musaddaq. In the qabr it will be your companion. One surah of the Quran, my Nabi said, hiya al-mani'a, hiya al-munjiya. Hiya al-mani'a, hiya al-munjiya. This surah is a protector. Mani'a, it's a defense force. It's an army. Munjiya, it is a salvation from what? Min adab al-qubur. Go to that graveyard and look at those holes in the ground. Look at the worms. Look at the insects. Ponder and reflect. This nasha of the dunya, intoxication of the dunya. The fabric would be sent to the tailor. That tailor would make the outfit. It wasn't right. Send it back. Do this alteration. Do that alteration. Stupendous amounts of money spent on one wedding outfit. Little do we realize what is our eventual outfit. 2 pieces of cloth. That too not even sewn. Not even sewn. Thousands of years, that is the eventual outfit. One bathroom today. 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 on one tap fitting. The tiling has to be right. The color sequence has to be right. The display, the nuance has to be right. 100,000, 150,000 on one bathroom. One mattress, one carpet. Consider, look at that grave. Where are we heading? Where's the bathroom there? Where's the tiling there? Is that not the eventual abode? What is the preparation that is being done for that? My Nabi said after Maghrib Salah, read Surah Mulk. How long does it take? What is the attachment of the Ummah today with the Quran? He said there is one surah, 30 verses in the Quran, Surah Mulk. Hiya al-Maniya, Hiya al-Munjiya. The surah is your defense force. It is your najat. It is your salvation. Min azab al-qubur. It will save you from the azab of the qabr. Man ja'alahu amamahu, saqahu ila al-jannah. He said, keep the Quran in front of you. If my ummah will keep this Quran in front of them, this Quran will transport them to Jannah. Saqahu ila al-jannah. It will take you to Jannah. وَمَنْ جَعَلَهُ خَلْفَهُ. And he said, if my ummah turns their back on this Quran, if my ummah turns their back on this Quran. Like the other day someone sent me a message, 2 people were traveling, one person started reading Quran, the person next to him tapped him and said, Bhai, someone died. You reading Quran, someone died. He said, yes, your heart has died. Quran is not only Ramadan. The day of the Quran, the night of the Quran, the akhlaq of the Quran, the character of the Quran, the way of life of the Quran. That attachment, that shauq, that shaghaf has to be there. Youngsters today, both ears are clogged. The body is shaking. Hours and hours jiving to haram music. 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, where is the ummah today? Such is the nasha of this dunya. I'm not making this up. Few years ago, World Cup was happening. I think Europe or somewhere, I don't know where. One friend of mine phones me up. He says, Molana, you know where I am? I say, where are you? He says, I'm in the World Cup final. How many thousands would have been spent, israf, extravagance, to attend that World Cup final? Many of you might be wondering, what's the big deal? So he's in the World Cup final. What is the tragedy? Such is the nasha of dunya. This brother that phoned me, I'm sitting on the mimbar of the masjid. This brother that phoned me is blind. He can't see. So I said, you are blind, what are you doing in the World Cup? He says, no, I wanted to get a feel of the atmosphere. Such an effort, such a nasha of dunya in every direction. If the ummah doesn't have time today, it doesn't have time for Quran. Doesn't have time for the words of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This cry, this pukar, this call of our elders. Establish the halaqa of ta'aleem in every home of the ummah. Qala Allah, Qala Rasul. What are the seeds that we are planting with our children? Don't wait for when it's too late. Then what happens? The father enters the room of his 17-year-old teenage son. And the son turns around and says, you didn't knock before you entered my room, you invaded my privacy. Who gave you permission to enter? That's the time now the alarm bell rings. Then we want to go to the Jamaat and we want to go to the Molana and look for this taweez and look for that and look for something else. What were the seeds that we planted? What was the environment of the home? Today techno gadgets have entered the home in the name of modern technology. Instruments of zina, instruments of shamelessness. That cell phone also, which was supposed to be a necessity, used for a necessity. Ask somebody, buy. Today, how many times you looked in your cell phone from this morning? He'll tell you 50 times, 60 times, 70 times. How many times did you look at the Quran? How many times did you open up the Quran? The life revolves around this so-called technology. And what type of technology has entered the home? We don't like to talk about in the masjid, but husband and wife sharing the same bed. Husband is making zina with someone, wife is making zina with someone else. Where are our youth? I was in the Haram of Makkah just few days back. Two youngsters sitting next to me, cell phones in front, time of iftar. One is watching music being played, one is watching something else. In the Haram of Makkah. Such an effort of batil in every direction. The cry, pukar of our elders, establish the halaqat of ta'aleem in every home. Sit with your family, quality time. Qala Allah, Qala Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Let the nur of Quran, let the nur of hadith enter the homes. Such a Quran. Osman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he would sit at the side of the grave and he would cry. Cry, sob incessantly. So someone told him, they said, Osman, the dhikr of Jannat, the dhikr of Jahannam takes place, you don't cry so much. Why is it that you cry so much when you are sitting at the side of the grave? He said, Innal qabra awwalu manzilin min manazil al-akhirah. He said, this grave is the first stage of the stages of Akhirat. This grave is the first stage of the stages of Akhirat. If this stage is successful, every other stage will become easier. And if this stage, if I fail at this stage, every stage after this will become worse. Panisha we were given, 30 verses, Surah Mulk. Where is the attachment of the ummah today with the Quran? Coming back to that verse, like I said, you can pick up a translation. Translation will never do justice to Allah's kalam. Allah enumerates every branch of wealth and attraction of this world. And Allah said, ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. All this is mata'. Gold, silver, diamonds, commerce, industry, agriculture, attraction, hubbu shahawat. All this is mata'. What's his value? Mata'. Imam Ismail rahimahullah, great scholar of Islam, he specialized in going into the depth of what one word of the Quran actually means. What is the meaning? There's a latifa mentioned about it. I'm digressing on a lighter note. Ismail, naturally Allah made him such, he wasn't what we call eye candy. Wasn't easy on the eye. In other words, he wasn't good looking. Today, mashallah, superficial appearance has become the order of the day. That's why a youngster, that's why somebody, the other day someone sent me a message, they say, why do men prefer beauty to brains? Why do men prefer beauty to brains? Because they can see better than they can think. But sometimes the youngster sees the girl, he says, I'm madly in love. I am mad. In other words, he's lost his senses. I'm madly in love. I have to, parents tell him, bhai, this is not appropriate. She has to become the mother of your children. You have to live with her. See the type of home you're going to make. See the background. No. I have to have her. Otherwise I'm going to die. I'm going to commit suicide. And then insani fitrat and nature, no matter how beautiful something is, does it remain beautiful? Something is attractive today, you're going to keep looking at the same thing, what happens? It's going to become more attractive. Ma'bad Khuzai radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Ma'bad Khuzai is a lengthy riwayat, I'm not going to go into time is already into detail. But this elderly woman in the desert. Allah's Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Abu Bakr, Amir bin Fuhaira, and Abdullah bin Urayqit. This band was making hijrat